Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make classic puff pastry. Now it does take some time, but this makes 1.5 kilograms, so you could freeze some that you're not going to use and you can get it out ready. So you will need for this 300 milliliters of cold water. The way that I got this really cold is by putting 200 milliliters of cold water in, and then I put in ice cubes until it reached 300 ml. Then I'm going to be using 500 grams of plain flour, and then I'm going to be using 500 grams of butter. So there is a lot, I know, but you can freeze some, or it keeps in the fridge for 3 days if you're not going to use it. So I'm just going to go straight into making this. The first thing that you'll do is to place your flour onto the work surface. Now if you don't want to get this really messy, then you could do it in a large bowl. Then all you're going to do is make a well in the middle, and I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of salt. Then I'm just going to pour in bit by bit the cold water. Now some flours absorb at different rates, so you might not need all this water. So remember, you don't want a really sticky dough, so don't keep adding all the water just because it says 300 ml of water. You just want to make sure that it's nice firm dough ball and not a sticky one. So I'm just going to add this in bit by bit. So you add it into the middle, and then using your other finger you can just go around the side of the well and you just mix this in. Once all of the flour has been incorporated and it looks like this, you want to knead it until it's smooth and elastic. So you knead this by putting pressure onto the palm of your hand, and you just want to kind of work the dough. So once it is smooth, you're then going to roll it into a circle and you're going to leave it to stand for 25 minutes. The next thing that you're going to do is lightly flour your work surface and roll it into a rough square. Now when I roll, I always go up, then I turn it to make sure that it's not sticking on the bottom. Once you've rolled it just roughly, you're then going to get a knife and you're going to score a crisscross shape into the dough. And then you are going to roll this out. Once you've rolled it out, then it's time to add the butter. Now with the butter, I just cut it up so it's in a nice square shape, ready to go into the middle of the pastry. You want your butter to be still firm and cold, but you want it to be pliable so you can move it. Once the butter is in the middle of the pastry, you're then going to grab one of the corners and you're going to fold it in. You want to make sure that it's tucked in and that you haven't got any gaps, and that all of the pastry is covering the butter. Then you need to put your pastry onto a plate and leave to rest for 15 minutes. If it's a really hot day or your kitchen's really hot, then you can put it in the fridge to rest for 15 minutes. Now that you've let the dough stand, it's time to roll it out and start creating the layers for the puff pastry. Lightly flour your work surface and place your pastry onto the middle. Make sure that you turn it so it's not sticking. You can always put a little sprinkle of flour onto your rolling pin as well. So I would always tap down with a rolling pin, applying some pressure to break down the butter. Once it's broke down, I'm then going to roll it into an oblong shape. When you do push down with the pastry on your rolling pin to flatten the butter, make sure it doesn't come out the sides, keep checking, and if it does, just patch it up with the dough. So now it's rolled into a rectangle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold over 1/3 into the middle, and then I'm going to fold over the other third. So you layer it up and it should look like that. Then I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. Make sure that the work surface is nice and floured so it doesn't stick. And then I'm going to roll it out again, but first of all I'm going to press firmly to break down the butter, and then I'll roll it and then repeat that step. So I've repeated that step, and now you're going to stop again, leave it on a plate and leave it to rest for 15 minutes. Now if the butter starts to get sticky, then you can put it in the fridge to rest for 15 minutes. I'm now going to roll it out again. It's a lot easier to roll the more you work the butter and the dough. So you're going to roll it into the rectangle shape just like before, and then you're going to fold it over, turn it 90 degrees, and then you're going to fold it again. Now you're going to repeat this another 4 times after this, so it'll be a total of 6 times that you've done it. And you need to make sure that you chill it in the fridge for 15 minutes in between each fold. So the puff pastry has been rolled out 6 times. I know it takes a long time, but it's worth just making puff pastry at least once in your life, and then you can buy pre-made pastry just for ease. But if you want to use some of this, you could take some off and then you could wrap the rest up and put it in the freezer for a few weeks, or you could put this in the fridge wrapped up for at least 3 days. So there's so much you can make with it. So sausage rolls, you can make cheese puff straws, vol au vents, apple turnovers. So make sure you catch my video on Thursday and Sunday when I'm going to be showing you what I'm going to make with this beautiful puff pastry. So I will see you again.